All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another Call of Duty video here on the channel. And today we got some crazy news. I think this came out yesterday. So there's an interview and it says, I sat down with a developer behind Call of Duty skill-based matchmaking. This is a huge concern in the Call of Duty community. What skill-based matchmaking is, it will take your skill and match with other players. So if you have like a 1 KD, you will play your multiplayer matches. Usually when a new Call of Duty comes out, if your account is like freshly made, if you play your first few matches, it's usually a casual match. Even after having an account that's like freshly to master, and then you just log on for like a day and you play a few matches, it can feel like that you don't have skill-based matchmaking at all because you're playing your first matches in a few days. So basically, skill-based matchmaking will pair you up to people similar to your skill. So it's not like Black Ops 2 and the old Call of Duty days where everything is kind of random. You get a couple sweaties, you get a couple casuals, just a couple of medium players, just, lobbies feel more open, if I should say. So if you're an absolute tryhard that gets nukes and really has high KD, you're going up against sweaty people. I barely have over a 1 KD and my lobbies feel like a 5 KD lobbies. I'm not joking, which is ridiculous. We're going to read this article here. Let's see how deep it goes into. So it says here, earlier this month, I attended the 2025 DICE Design, Innovate, Communicate, Entertain Summit, an annual event that sees industry executives and leaders across the globe coverage into one location to discuss the future of games in an eye-opening event. And I walked away with a sense that the industry has got a renewed sense of optimism with the past few turbulent years catalyzing a reinvention of creativity and technology that will undoubtedly lead to an exciting future. One of my favorite conversations at the event, though, was one of the 4 letters that strike fear in any good player who plays multiplayer games, SBMM. For those who don't know, I started off this unorthodox journey into journalism as a Call of Duty YouTuber who thrived and gained a following by uploading high-skill, low-death gameplay with occasional commentary about the next game leak. And on the back of the Doritos packet, finding ways to get around SBMM was always a part of gaming routine. And when I had the community to speak with Charlie, a veteran software programmer who spent nearly a decade at Raven Software in 2 stints and wrote the matchmaking rating algorithm for Modern Warfare Remastered for Call of Duty skill-based matchmaking system was an offer I couldn't refuse. Olsen intentionally wrote the MMR algorithm for China's Call of Duty Online in 2015, with the algorithm making its way into a first main online entry with 2016's Infinite Warfare. It's a system that has been ever since, with the matchmaker itself becoming more sophisticated over the years. Olsen would move on from Raven Software in 2020, going on to co-found Innovation Games in 2022, a development studio that provides custom skill rating and ranking systems to games. After a handshake, brief introduction, and a joke or two, we sat down to talk the nitty-gritty about SBMM, how important it is for live service games, and whether or not there's any solutions for players in high skill brackets. But one thing seems for certain, SBMM is not going away in Call of Duty, and arguably any other live service games that wants to be successful. But first, I want to address the elephant in the room when it comes to Call of Duty SBMM white paper and its legitimacy, because as we all know, there is also a sense of doubt when a giant company tries to be transparent. When asked, Olsen told me about that white paper is accurate, and he can't attest to it based on his own analysts at Call of Duty and on other games. Live service games need SBMM, and SBMM needs MMR, he said. He continued to explain that both are needed to ensure long-term sustainability and player engagement, which are both crucial components ensuring a successful live service game, but that doesn't mean everyone should just shut up and like skill-based matchmaking. And said Olsen, on stats, Olsen explained that around half of the players would be driving to stop playing without skill-based matchmaking because sometimes you stump, sometimes you get stumped. Narrative only applies around 40% of players by skill, with 10% of of the very top players doing 90% of the pump stomping. Olsen used the X Defiant as an example of churn-based matchmaking and explained that although X Defiant had team balancing, people don't like being the weak link repeatedly, and high skill players don't like carrying a team of potatoes all the time. When asked for a solution of skill-based matchmaking, Olsen believes that it is needed to ensure long-term sustainability for a live service game, however, thinks that its solution is transparency of where players rank with their skill. The massive problem with skill-based matchmaking, though, is that you don't know what league you're in anymore. Skill-based matchmaking takes away the sense of skill and mastery. There's less skill feedback, stats don't matter as much, KD's less of a dragging right. It's a serious design problem, really. He continued, if you are trying to get better at the game, skill-based matchmaking just rewards you with tougher opponents. I even say that skill-based matchmaking punishes players for being good. That's unfair, and players are right to complain about it. Olsen thinks that one solution is to reward players with more XP as being better at the game. Casual don't need to be completely about skill like ranked, but you should be able to see something about the average skill of your lobby, where opponents, like maybe this match is a gold tier, as you get a 1.2 XP multiplier, you should be able to see your MMR matchmaking rating, aka skill rating, and the combat record. You shouldn't have to file a personal data request with Activision just to get that information. He went on to explain that he did a pitch such as a system for Call of Duty on multiple occasions, even at a meeting at Infinity Ward during 2019's Modern Warfare development. However, Olsen's noted that the lack of bandwidth that studios have to consider new ideas outside of the lead studios make such pitches an uphill battle, especially coming from a non-designer. So I tried to, he said that the other reason I think it didn't catch up on is that most designers just don't know how much MMR works and therefore aren't comfortable using it as a component for design. And he continued, I asked Olsen to explain skill-based matchmaking in a for dummies explanation, to which he explained that skill-based matchmaking consists of three different systems: matchmaking, team balancing, and MMR. Matchmaking rating or skill rating, MMR, is a number that the matchmaker and team balancer uses. The MMR system takes the consideration that the rating of everyone's in the match and updates your rating based on your relative performance. In COD, Olsen said that the MMR is more volatile in the mid-range, which is an issue that can be addressed. He said that Call of Duty players who requested their data from Activision are likely seeing the volatility with their MMR bouncing around without a clear indicator, but that's why Olsen believes that players should openly be able to see their MMR for transparency and they can see what's going on. He noticed that preventing people from seeing their MMR or making your data requested it from Activision leads to a lack of faith and ultimately leads to conspiracy theories that we often see flooding the internet. Contrary to what some players believe, you really don't have to try your hardest every match. If you go off meta, your MMR will adapt after a few bad games and matches will get easier. The exception would be when you're playing low pop modes that attracted high skill players or during open betas. He said, for example, you probably shouldn't expect a game mode like domination or a game mode like traditionally attracts higher skill players to get much easier. Speaking of conspiracy theories, Olsen also pointed out that COD's SBMM gets mistaken for EOMM, engagement optimized matchmaking, but it's really just because the MMR is highly responsive and volatile. What's clear is that SBMM in COD and other live services games is likely never going to go away. There are fundamental systems to keep a game alive and thriving by keeping players around, and has become even more apparent recently following Activision's clamp down on VPNs and patching skill-based matchmaking and get-around methods like two-boxing, and a method where a player could join the session of a lower-skilled dummy account to enter a low-skill lobby. The issue with COD in particular seems to be transparency, and players should be rewarded for being good at the game, but that XP bonuses, as Olsen suggested, or even going one step further, is offering exclusive calling cards, emblems, and so on. Finding a solution to appease everyone when it comes to SBMM, it is definitely a complex issue, but one that should be talked about more at length. Insider Gaming has invited Charlie Olsen to the Insider Gaming podcast to sit down and answer some of your questions at length on the issues. So if you have any questions, please visit the Insider Gaming forum, create an account, and ask away. And fingers crossed, we'll have Olsen as a guest in the coming weeks. All right, this is ridiculous. So the developer behind Call of Duty skill-based matchmaking is pretty much saying that they need to keep bad players in the game so they can keep mostly their player base, because you don't want a sweaty tryhard breaking those games, and those players are bots. And if they're getting wrecked, basically they're not going to play the game. So what Call of Duty is aiming for is their bots community, so they can keep them playing and get them to buy bundles to make them more money, which they have this backwards because they want bad players to keep playing, but good players are going to hop off because good players are going to start getting smacked because they're playing people their skill, and they're going to rage off the game and don't play that game ever again, or that specific game mode. It should be the other way around. Good players should be getting knocked off. Good players stop playing because they're getting smacked by good players, and good players keep playing because they're smacking everyone. That means every bad player didn't exist, all the good players would be going against the good players. So that makes more sense. Overall, I think skill-based matchmaking alone is totally overtuned in Call of Duty. Trying to go for gold camos and just dark matter mastery camo inside of multiplayer is completely why I gave up, which is the skill-based matchmaking. Like, it's hard to do even a commentary and try to go positive without adding background music or trying to do positive. That's why I stopped playing multiplayer. I like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna play zombies, man. Like, I don't care like what Call of Duty has become with their skill-based matchmaking, and the matter of bullshit that's in their matchmaking. They don't really say it in this article is crazy, because that's not all they do to it. There's more behind this, and once you play Call of Duty for years, like the change in the system. What they're doing. Like, we're not stupid. We just know. So I can eliminate bad and good players in Call of Duty. I don't want to be doing that 24/7 every time I load into a game. If I take a break, my first few matches are good. If I host a game and I play with my friends, we're getting smacked. Guess what? That leads off to us getting off the game and playing a different game that we actually enjoy better, that we're actually good at, that doesn't punish us for doing good. So that's basically what I think about this. Skill-based matchmaking has been a serious problem in the community, which it seems like they're not spilling all the beans, what they're actually talking about. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys can comment below. What do you guys think about this topic? Or do you guys are you guys bad players when you guys play Call of Duty, or do you experience this bad matchmaking, or how do you guys experience this? I want to know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, make sure to hit that bell notification to never miss a single video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.